Hi there, everyone. It's 4 o'clock in New York. It was only a matter of time. Today, an act's being described by officials as, quote, domestic terrorism. Election officials and other government officials are on high alert after fentanyl-laced letters were sent to officials. Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who lost a child to fentanyl poisoning, sounded the alarm.
I just want to really emphasize the seriousness of this. You know, some people like to call fentanyl a drug, but it's actually poison. It'll kill you. It'll kill you very quickly, very easily, and it's very dangerous. We lost our son 5.5 years ago due to a fentanyl overdose. We know how deadly this stuff is. So this is very, very serious, and we take it that way. Anyone that holds election office, or anyone that wants to hold election office, coming through post-2024 elections, they're running for high office in this land, they need to condemn this stuff. So when they hear about this and someone's asked them today, you know, what do you think about this? If they don't condemn this, they're not worthy for the office that they're running for. This is domestic terrorism, and it needs to be condemned by anyone that holds elected office and anyone that wants to hold elected office anywhere in America.
For our part, we will keep track of who heeds his call to condemn what Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is describing today as domestic terrorism. Now, the letter was sent but not received by an election office in Fulton County, Georgia, the site of election fraud conspiracies peddled by the ex-president and his allies, where Donald Trump and more than a dozen other co-defendants are due to stand trial for their criminal enterprise that sought to overturn the results of the 2020 election there. Raffensperger added that as a precaution, workers in the Fulton County office are being trained to use Narcan. Narcan is a drug that is used to prevent overdoses from fentanyl. It is a situation that it's safe to say no one should be put in simply for doing their job. That letter is unfortunately, though, part of a dangerous pattern that has emerged in the last couple days. ABC News reports this, quote, authorities in at least 2 states are investigating a spate of suspicious envelopes sent to election offices this week in what one state official called an act of domestic terrorism. Washington Secretary of State Steve Hobbs said in a statement that envelopes containing unknown powdery substances were discovered Wednesday by election workers in several counties, prompting evacuations of those offices. And breaking this afternoon, the FBI field office in Portland, Oregon, confirms that suspicious letters were sent to several ballot counting centers in Oregon. Countering threats to election officials has become a major priority for the Department of Justice. The AP reported earlier this year that more than a dozen people nationally have been charged with threatening election workers by a Justice Department unit, trying to stem the tide of violent and graphic threats against the very people who count and secure the vote in America. The threat of violence looming over election officials and election workers and election facilities is where we begin today with some of our favorite experts and friends. Former Assistant Director for Counterintelligence at the FBI, Frank Figliuzzi, is here with us at the table for the hour. We're happy to have here in studio Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson and Democratic strategist and Director of the Public Policy Program at Hunter College, Basil Smikle. Frank, I start with you for the latest from law enforcement. What do you understand about the fentanyl-laced envelopes and the 3 different locations we know about as we come on the air?
Yeah, FBI offices in at least 3 locations, Atlanta, Portland, and Seattle, are engaged. And I'm learning that there might even be further locations yet to be revealed. Look, we also know, if you want to go back, it's very interesting. There's media reports of something very similar happening, fentanyl-laced or trace amounts of fentanyl in a letter sent to election offices in Washington State. That letter was believed to originate in the Portland, Oregon area. So it may be that this is the same person. We can't yet determine whether that case was ever solved, but someone's out there doing this. And I find it interesting from a law enforcement perspective that the letter that was sent to Fulton County appears to have been intercepted on its way, never got to its intended target. That tells me law enforcement and postal inspectors know what they're looking for. And they understand in the mail system that if you see this, with this postmark, with these writings on the envelope, you stop it. And that appears to have prevented this from getting to its intended target. It will not stop prosecutors from charging federally whoever's doing this, with severe consequences, to include election interference, interstate transportation of hazardous material, even depending on the amount, potentially a weapon of mass destruction charge. Yes, this is domestic terror if it's designed to stop the election. There is some reporting, vague reporting, that in one of the letters in the Pacific Northwest, the sender said something about wanting to stop the election. So this is the environment we're in, a potentially deadly substance being used to threaten and intimidate a government entity, election officials, in the hopes of perhaps getting such a hazmat response, hazardous materials, rescue people, the police, that you'd shut down or temporarily at least stop the counting of votes or the process. And look, it's kind of an old-fashioned but sad situation. We talk about cyber crime and hacking that might shut down the election process. Now, here we are with the old-fashioned, let's mail some threatening, potentially deadly substance. I wish I could tell you it's the last of what we're going to see regarding election threats, but here it is, and DOJ, FBI actively involved. Whoever did this is going to get captured. But the mindset, you and I have talked about it, the mindset we're dealing with here is it doesn't matter. I'll go to federal prison. I'm doing this for a cause I believe in. Let's have at it.
Brad Raffensperger used the word domestic terrorism, and a government official in ABC reporting also uses the word domestic terrorism. We've asked you, we've pressed you, you and I have had a lot of conversations about the tools available to law enforcement to combat domestic terrorism, contrasted with the tools available to national security agencies in this country to combat foreign terrorism. And I wonder if you can just give us your assessment of how prepared we are to deal with this.
So sending something in the mail like this, this harkens back to my days overseeing parts of the anthrax investigation. I was in South Florida during that time, and I can tell you there's an impressive capability amongst the postal inspectors to find and isolate mail. But so this will get solved. The problem that you're raising is, are the consequences, is the recourse we have sufficient? And yes, there'll be stiff penalties for sending fentanyl in the mail. Yes. But is there something we can point to called a law against domestic terrorism? No, there is not. And so the tools still aren't quite there that would match up with the tools that allow us to regularly prevent international terror attacks here, and I'm still advocating for that domestic terrorism law.
I wrote down in my notes here, anthrax and Unabomber, as a question for you. I mean, are there lessons learned from those two chapters in our country's law enforcement history that are being applied today?
Indeed, and we're seeing, sadly, you mentioned that we're going to train Fulton County election workers to, on how to use Narcan. This is a sad state of affairs, but similarly, with regard to anthrax, the warnings went out. Look, the FBI went public with the letter. Here's what the letter looks like. Here's what it might look like inside. Here's what anthrax is looking like in this case, so that if you see it, if you're in an office setting or at home and you're seeing this happen, understand you've got to isolate this letter. And I can tell you, across companies and government agencies, major changes occurred to where they received their mail, oftentimes now off-site. I can tell you, sensitive government offices, because of that, now get their mail well off-site. It's processed with BioHood and all of that. Corporations did the same thing, change their mailroom procedures, get a BioHood, examine things. And this will be deployed here in terms of educating the public as to what we're seeing. Don't be surprised if we see the police display what these envelopes look like.
I want to show you what some of your fellow sort of frontline democracy folks said in a hearing on November 1st about the threats to election workers.
We don't feel safe in our work because of the harassment and threats that are based in lies. Just ask a former county recorder about her dogs, poisoned as a means of intimidation. Her story is one of many veteran Arizona officials from both political parties who've left the profession for the sake of their own physical, mental, and emotional health and that of their families.
In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we have now lost about 70 election directors or assistant election directors in our 67 counties. And in some counties, since 2020, they have changed election after election after election. And the consequences of that, I think, are sometimes on display. When you have people running elections who have less experience running elections, they're more likely to make errors, and make errors in an environment where everything is perceived as being intentional and malicious and seeking to change the outcome of the election.
How are you doing? Are you facing threats? I mean, we got to know you when there were Trump supporters outside your home. You were inside with your son. It's something you testified to before the January 6th Select Committee. I know it has been a sustained threat environment, but it does feel particularly acutely ramping up.
I'm heartbroken. I'm furious. I'm angry that people who put their lives on their lines to just make democracy work are facing this type of pressure and threat. But I am always also optimistic. We have to protect the people who protect democracy. And just minutes ago, the Michigan State Senate passed a bill strengthening penalties for those who would threaten election workers. So we know what is unfolding today is the beginning, not the end of what we're going to face this cycle. And I'm angry about it, but I know many of us will funnel that anger into a determination to ensure these domestic terrorists will not win.
Do you have these conversations with election workers who come to you and say, I love you, I love the work, but I've got a young family, I'm not doing it?
Yes, every day.
What do you tell them?
Tell them either do what's best for you and your family, and we will work to ensure we recruit, train, and uplift folks to fill your spot, or we talk through the support they're going to get if they stay. The enhanced legal protections, the law enforcement support, election security. We made $8 million of election security grants available for our clerks as well, so that they could do everything from put bulletproof glass where they needed to hire additional security staff. So we're there to provide support, but we also understand this is a challenging moment for everyone. But I will say, by and large, in Michigan, I've been really encouraged by the number of folks who've stayed in the profession, determined to make sure this type of hate will not win.